Recently, someone on my Tumblr asked me if I would do a video about early transition life and the sort of breach into embracing more of my feminine side, I suppose. So I can't remember exactly everything because it was around 9 years ago now that I first came out, and I don't remember a lot of high school because I sort of blocked it out, but I'm gonna try my best. So like I said, I first came out 9 years ago in 2010, and it wasn't until 4 years later that I started embracing any sort of femininity within myself. And all I sort of remember from early coming out times was being really argumentative with people who would try and act like they knew more than me about being trans. So I went to an all-girls school for high school, which was fine, and I wouldn't change it for a thing in the world because women basically made me who I am today, and I'm very happy with who I am today. But a lot of people tried to act like they would know more than me and argue about the definitions of like transgender versus transvestite, and it just always put me in such a bad mood because it was like, I'm here, listen to what I have to say. But what I found is that because I was being more of myself through figuring out that I was transgender, I actually made a lot more friends after I came out in high school because I wasn't being uncomfortable or weird about anything. I was just kind of going with the flow. And there were some really tough times, mostly because the hormone blockers I was on gave me really awful mood swings. So I had, I don't want to say depression, but I would get very low in myself, like once a month, every month, for quite a few years of my high school life before I got onto proper hormones. And the feminine side of things didn't come until a few years later. It was a combination of getting into RuPaul's Drag Race and seeing like how fantastic all of the queens looked, and seeing Felix in Orphan Black, who, if you've not watched the show, is a gay male character, but he always wears like really nice eyeliner and blue eyeshadow. I saw him being like really cool and amazing in the show, and I thought like, oh, I want to try that out, but I'm really nervous and I hope that people will take me seriously. So I started buying makeup under the guise that it was for my sister, and then just wore it myself. And luckily I had quite encouraging friends at the time, so it became a thing that I would do more often. I would just put on a face of makeup whenever I went out, and I didn't feel weird about it because everyone around me who mattered just treated it like a normal thing, and anyone who thought it was weird, I wasn't really interested in talking to them. And then later I just started buying clothes from the women's section because the shapes and like the cuts I wanted I couldn't find in the men's section. I wanted more flowy robe-like stuff, and they just don't go as adventurous for men's clothes, which kinda sucks, but oh well, at least they make it for ladies, I guess. It became more about fashion expression and what I've sort of talked about in my aesthetic video than it did about gender. So what I would say to any young trans people who are worried about embracing like one aspect of the gender spectrum over another is do what makes you comfortable. Like, it's always going to come down to do what makes you comfortable, and there's no point in worrying about if people are going to take you seriously or not, because like I said, people who matter will just treat it like it's a normal thing, and people who don't matter, you don't need to know them. Like, if they're gonna act like it's a strange thing, you being you should just be normal to your friends. Wild concept, I know, but that's the best way to live your life. There's no point worrying about, oh, if I'm transitioning to male but I do this typically female thing, are people gonna think I'm any less of a man? Gender is becoming so much more loose these days, and I think the lines between things are starting to blur so much that it doesn't really matter in that sense. And as long as you say to people like, hey, these are my pronouns and this is what I identify as, then they should respect that, and you shouldn't have to worry about whether you want to present one way or the other or neither, or like a mixture of all sorts of things. Just do what you want and people should respect it. I think as I've gotten older, I've just cared less and less about how strangers on the street view me, and more just, I want to present myself in XYZ way. People that I know can take it or leave it, and I'll hang out with the ones that want to take it. It's just being comfortable and being around people who make you feel valid and loved, no matter what you do with yourself. Transitioning is always going to be difficult, and you're going to be on this constant journey to figure out what gender presentation makes you feel the most you and makes you feel the most comfortable. But you will get there eventually. I would say having my whole sort of monochrome journey that I've had for the past 5 years has really helped me in coming to terms with that. It's not necessarily about gender as much as it is about personal style, but the two cross over a lot. And it's really interesting and fascinating how fashion and gender just sort of mush and blend together. And I don't know if I have made any sort of point in this video. I've just sort of rambled more than anything, but I hope somewhere in there is something that you find helpful and not on Tumblr. I hope that was vaguely what you wanted me to go for. But like I said, I don't remember much of early transition life apart from being sad that the hormone blockers I was on just made me feel weird and arguing with everyone at school about what being trans was. But yeah, I hope that shed any sort of light on your situation, and I hope it made you feel a little bit more confident, because you can do what you want and you're valid, and you should just be the best and most sparkling version of yourself, because that's what you deserve and that's what the world deserves to see. And that's great. So, until next time, I hope you're well, and I will see you all again real soon. Bye guys!